In this video, I'm going to be showing you every single thing we know about the new Lost Colony expansion coming to Ark Survival Ascended. We're going to be going over all the new creatures, items, everything we know about the map in this video. If you don't know what Lost Colony is, it's basically a brand new story map similar to like Extinction that we have now. Extinction, Aberration, Scorched Earth. And it's one of those kind of story maps. It's going to completely change the game in different ways, as well as it's going to connect some of the storylines together, mainly the storylines between Extinction and Genesis, because right now there's kind of a gap there, and this map is meant to bridge the gap between those two, as well as go into Ark 2 as well, as they have confirmed they still are working on that game. So when it comes to the map itself, we don't know a ton about it. We know a decent amount, but like when it comes to like when Genesis Part 2 is coming out a long time ago, we basically knew like everything about the map at this point in time, but right here we don't really know a ton, which I do like that aspect. I like not knowing, so it's a surprise when we get in here. But for now, when it comes to the map itself, it's going to be like a snowy Arctic map covered in ice all the way, which I've always wanted a map like that, so I'm very excited. But it's that plus a giant city similar to Extinction, but not exactly the same. So you can see here, this is what the city looks like, and it's more of like a horror, like gothic theme, which looks really cool, honestly. And it's all powered by this stuff called a red element, which is like a different version of element that we don't know too much about. And it's going to be new to this map too, and there's going to be a lot to do with the red element, which I guess we'll have to see once the actual DLC itself comes out. This also takes place on Earth, on the opposite side of Earth that Extinction does, and it's in a place called Ararat Prime, which is a place that has been in like the Explorer notes and stuff people have talked about forever. We've been wondering if we'll ever get a map on this map, on that area, and we finally are. This is finally the map that actually explores what Ararat Prime is. There's been lots of talks about it, so it's cool to see we're actually going to get to explore that area as well. But when it comes to the DLC itself, it is a $30 DLC, so you will have to pay for it, and you can pre-order it right now. And the pre-order gives you early access to a couple of the creatures, as well as some of the skins that are in the DLC, but it also allows you to play Lost Colony Day 1 when it comes out. But that's going to be important because some of the features for Lost Colony are already out, and we're going to go over all of them in this video. In some point of the map, which I'm going to guess is the city, but maybe it could be somewhere else, there's going to be like these new versions of corrupted creatures. We don't really know what they're called, if they're like a new version of corrupted creature or something else. But as you could, I'm just going to call it corruption because it looks very similar to the corruption from Extinction. You can see a Rex is covered in it, so I guess the Rex will be on this map. It's usually on every map though, except Aberration. You can also see a Veilwin there, which we'll get into in a little bit. That's also corrupted, as well as some NPCs there, like humanoids that have been corrupted with this. Some of them are bigger than the other ones, which brings me on to another aspect of this map, which is NPCs. I don't know if it's going to be these guys specifically, but I'm going to guess it is. I don't think they confirmed whether or not it is these guys, but I'm going to assume that it is. There basically is going to be like NPCs that you can raid on this map. We haven't had NPCs ever in Ark Survival Evolved or Ascended, so we're finally getting that. It's going to be similar to, I guess, they basically took them from Ark 2 and kind of put them in here. Of course, Ark 2 is not out yet, so this is basically like a more primitive form of what the NPCs are going to be like in Ark 2. And you'll be able to raid them. They also mentioned that you would have to defend from them at some point. Not really sure if that means that they're going to come raid your base or if you just get attacked by them out in the wild. But I'm going to guess it's going to be more like getting attacked by them in the wild. But they probably could come and raid your base too. So we'll have to see about that. All we know is not a ton. Just know that we can raid them and then probably get some sort of loot out of that. And then you do have to defend against them at some point. Also wanted to mention the armor that's being worn in this picture. We don't really know about the armor. It looks pretty unique though. So this either could be a brand new armor set, or what is most likely is going to be a skin, because we already know of a new armor set that is coming. At least we are pretty sure of it. So I don't know if they'll have two new armor sets. So I imagine this one might be a skin, but it could also be. You can just see the leggings and the gloves here. I kind of hope it's a new armor set. Having new armor sets is kind of fun, honestly. So that would be cool if they had that, but either way, looks pretty cool and could be a skin as well. And it comes like the biome in the background also looks like a unique biome, which could, I think, either be like underneath the city or could be its own biome separately that's like covered in corruption, which is probably where you're gonna find these corruption guys, and maybe that's even where you find the NPCs at, and you can't find them anywhere else. Or maybe the NPCs will roam around. Like I said, there's a lot up in the air with this DLC that we don't know about, which I do like. I like not knowing everything about it. We also got this picture, which gives us a closer look at what these NPCs are going to look like. And as you can see, like that bottom one on the left has a little bit of armor on, as well as being a zombie. There's one on the right that has like 3 arms. It is also pretty bloated. There's some bigger ones in the background too, and I think those ones at the top might even be flying. Kind of looks like they are, so that's pretty interesting too to see as well. But of course, when it comes to the NPCs, they could also be saying that these guys on the right are the NPCs, which are like these guys in the red armor. These could just be players in armor, but they also could be what is going to be the NPCs. Like I said, either the zombie guys are what they're calling, or maybe these guys are the ones that are supposed to be the ones that are actual NPCs. I don't really know. They haven't confirmed that yet. But either of these guys too, I feel like it's more on the side of the zombie ones, and maybe these guys are just guys with, players that they're showing off. But these also could be the NPCs, like I said. But these guys, they all have tons of unique armor. Like, if you look at them, that's kind of what makes me think that they might be NPCs, is they all have, like, custom armor sets. I imagine these are all going to be skins you can wear, or maybe even armor sets you get for killing them, if they are the NPCs. But they look pretty sick. Like, if you zoom on this one, like, right here, this guy, he has a tech bow. We'll talk about that later. But he's got a like a hood on, and then the helmet looks sick. Like, I imagine it'll be some sort of armor set you could wear, and that looks awesome. I love the look of that. And then, like, if you look at the bottom here, there's a very unique looking helmet, and then there's one that just covers this guy's face and then leaves his bald head shining for everyone to see. And then you go up here, there's a guy with a wingsuit, which is pretty cool. He's also got a unique set of armor as well. So you can see, like, all of the armor sets are different. So, like I said, either they're NPCs, which would make sense for them having all this different armor, or there's just a ton of different dark tech skins that you're going to have. Either way seems pretty awesome. Moving on to the unique creatures, we're starting with the Veilwin, which is actually already in the game. So we can see what it looks like for a little bit here. It's basically like a companion pet, kind of similar to the Armadillo, where it will follow you around. It's got a bunch of different abilities, which, starting with like giving you buffs, there's one that gives you a speed buff, a like damage resistance buff, and then there's one that gives you a damage buff. You have to pick between one of them, and then as it's following you, it'll always give you that small little buff. Then there's the like active abilities that you can activate, and then there's a cooldown on them. So there's healing, damage increase, and speed increase. Here's the speed increase one. You just click it, and then for a little short while you get a speed increase. But the other ones give you like a health boost. I think the health boost is probably the best because it just gives you some health, which is always nice. Like I said, this is a companion pet. It's already in the game if you own the Lost Colony DLC. So how that works is once you get the DLC, you're able to tame it, and it spawns on like all the maps, like Arctic biomes except the island. But once Lost Colony does come out, it's only going to spawn on Lost Colony, and it's no longer going to spawn on the other maps. But this creature isn't just what we have now. It'll actually have 2 different variants, which we'll get into in a second. But first I want to go over the taming method, which all you have to do is just walk up to it and claim it. It's kind of stupid, but you know what? Whatever. You just go up to it and then claim it, and then you get it for free. It's like the easiest tame in the entire game. But that's not going to allow you to get the other variants, which will come when Lost Colony comes out. Starting with the variants, which are evolutions, which the first one is the Malwyn. So you can turn your Veilwin into the Malwyn. It's basically like a hellhound, but way bigger and looks kind of insane. It's got 6 eyes. It's very creepy looking. And this thing is going to be meant for killing, and killing only, as that's basically its entire goal. So this one's going to be more for, you know, just going out and killing stuff. And then I'm sure it's going to have a bunch of abilities that's also going to help it be really good. Probably in PvP and PvE, destroying everything in its path. So that's pretty cool, but like I said, there's another evolution that you can do. The second evolution is the Soulwin, which is the light side version. So it's kind of like a light and dark kind of thing. So this is the other variant that's not for killing and more for other uses as well. So you'll be able to get this if you don't want the Malwyn. I'm guessing you'll probably be able to switch between them. I don't know if it's like a permanent change. We'll have to see about that. But it seems like both of them have their own different use cases that you'll need. So you'll need obviously the Veilwin for killing, and then the Soulwind for doing other things. I'm not exactly sure what the abilities for the Soulwind are going to be just yet. The second creature for Lost Colony is the Ocadon, which once again is already out. Came out just a few weeks ago, and is spawning on like Astraeos, Valguero, and Ragnarok, and you can get it early as well as the center too. But this one is a massive beast that is really cool, honestly. I think this one might be my favorite. Well, there's only two so far that we know of, but this one's a pretty awesome one. So you can see it has the ability to make like these giant balls of dirt that you can roll around on. The saddle is super unique too because it's made out of that red element, even though the you don't actually need red element to make it. It's a pretty normal standard crafting recipe, but it looks like it's made out of that red element stuff, but you don't really need it for the recipe. And when it comes to the abilities, this thing has a lot of different abilities. Of course, there's those icicle abilities that it can shoot out, and then like once you run into the icicles, they're going to explode and then deal frost damage. So that's something you have to worry about. Of course, with the balls, you can like put people in the balls as well as like animals, and the more you put in there, the more the damage it'll do once it explodes out and does like a final blow on the creature that you're trying to hit. So you can like make a bomb out of it, which is pretty fun. Here's a look at the Ocadon in game, and we're going to be going over its abilities as well. We already went over some of the abilities it has, but the ones I want to go over here are its stats, because this one actually changes the look of it, as well as you get new abilities whenever you upgrade the stats. So if you increase the health, it increases the number of victims that you can carry in the ball, so you'll be able to carry more in the ball, which is pretty cool. If you upgrade stamina, it's going to increase the head crest size, and it's going to make it to where you can roll the bolas for longer, which are the giant dirt balls. You'll be able to roll those for longer. And then, like I said, for health, you'll be able to carry more in those balls. So each of these stats is going to increase one of its abilities, which is really cool. I wish kind of like all creatures in Ark did this. For oxygen, it increases the fur size, or the fur length, but it also increases the distance that you can fire the icicles. So when you're firing those icicles, you'll be able to shoot them further with if you upgrade oxygen. I don't know how useful that would be, but it's still cool. And it, actually gives you a reason to upgrade oxygen. If you upgrade food, it increases the stomach size, so its stomach's going to get up bigger, but it also increases the number of icicles that you can fire down, so you're able to fire even more icicles if you upgrade more points into food, as well as making the stomach bigger. The next stat is weight. If you increase it, it increases its muscle size and the maximum amount of creatures that you can carry in the bolas, so you're able to carry bigger creatures inside of the bola instead of smaller ones. If you don't have this upgraded, you'll only be able to carry like small things like dire wolves are the biggest, but if you upgrade this more, you'll be able to get the bigger creatures in there, which means you're going to be dealing even more damage with the ball once it eventually hits something that explodes. Then the melee damage obviously just increases damage. There's not really any special ability it increases, but it does make your claw size a little bit bigger. Just wanted to show a comparison of what a level 1 Ocadon looks like versus a maxed out one in health, so you can see the size increase is pretty massive. So that's how it's going to look for all the different ones. I think size is definitely the most noticeable because the other ones are kind of subtle, but I really like this thing where it changes depending on that. I think it's a really cool thing, and I think all creatures in Ark should have their appearance change based on their stats. I think that's a really cool idea. When it comes to taming for the Ocadon, how this works is you're going to need to start knocking it out. You'll shoot it with Tranks, and then once you get it half torpor, it's going to do this stun animation where you jump on it and then you start rolling the ball around. And what you want to do is you want to get creatures in the ball, which will make the taming go up, and then it'll shoot icicles, and you want to collect the icicles with the ball, and that's going to increase its taming effectiveness. Pretty simple in concept, but really frustrating tame to do because there's a million variables that can screw it up. So obviously the Ocadon's already in the game right now, but once Lost Colony does come out, it's going to exclusively spawn on Lost Colony and be taken off all the current maps. You also can't breed it right now, but once it comes to Lost Colony, it will be breedable. So you'll be able to breed it on Lost Colony. You won't be able to transfer it to Lost Colony if you're on official. You're going to have to wait until transfers are open before you can transfer your current Ocadons onto Lost Island. And I think they're still deciding whether they should do that with the Veilwin or not, but I feel like they should make it to where you can't transfer it to official yet, because people already have like maxed out Veilwins on official, so it'd kind of be a little bit broken if you could just transfer them over immediately. The third creature for Lost Colony, or I guess the fifth if you're counting the Soulwind and Veilwin, which I'll do, I guess. So this will be the fifth. This is a new giant bat vampire looking thing. It was in the original trailer for Lost Colony, like the teaser animated trailer, and we didn't really know what to think of it, if it was even gonna be a creature in here, or if it was just for like that animated trailer. But it is like an actual creature in here, and it looks like it's gonna be tameable. I thought it wouldn't be tameable if it was gonna be in here, because it looks very humanoid. Like, I thought it was gonna be like something that just, you know, it's like an enemy that comes and attacks you. But there's a saddle on this one, so I'm gonna assume it's tameable. I don't know why there would be a saddle on it, so I don't, like that. It's definitely tameable. You can see a saddle on it, which is pretty awesome. That means we get a new flyer, and that's gonna be really fun. I'm curious to see what abilities this thing is gonna have. If it's gonna be like similar to the Desmodus, or, I mean, obviously they're probably gonna make it different. Hopefully it has a dive. Most flyers do nowadays, so it'll probably have some sort of dive. I'm excited to check this one out. The 6th brand new creature for Lost Colony is the Galoon. This thing is pretty awesome. I like it. It's like a weird looking frog thing, like frog larva. I don't even know. At first I thought it would be a shoulder pet, but it's pretty big, like compared to this dodo here. So maybe it's even, I wouldn't say rideable. Maybe it is though. It'd be like a Moss Chops where you're almost crushing it if it were rideable, but we'll have to see how big it actually is in game, because in like the key art I feel like it looks a little bit smaller because it's like on the back of a Veilwin. But anyway, what this thing does, well, it's very loose description, so honestly it could mean anything, but it sounds like it's going to be able to make things passive or aggressive, like wild creatures, because they said some of them you can provoke and other ones you can calm. So I'm guessing that's what that it's going to mean, is you can pacify creatures or provoke them. I imagine there'll be some sort of limit on that, but provoking creatures like a Quetzal would be nice to try and get it to tame, or something's attacking you, you make pacify it. If that's what this thing does, then that seems like it could be pretty good, especially if like it's an early game tame and you can just stop things from attacking you entirely. And here we have what's going to be the 7th unique creature, and this one looks pretty insane. It basically looks like the Chinese dragons, the ones that don't have wings but can fly still. This is basically what that is. I mean, that's exactly what it looks like. I don't know what else it would be. It's clearly flying in this image, and there's people riding it, so you can tame it. There's even 2 people on it. I don't know if that means that it's going to have multiple people ride it. Probably not, but maybe it could be. We'll have to see what this thing's abilities are, but a gigantic dragon, that's pretty cool. I like that. And it seems like the creatures are going for like a dark and light theme. Like they're either on the dark or the light. You know, like the Soulwind, the Veilwin, and this thing are on the light, and then, you know, the Ocadon and the Malwin are on the dark. So that's kind of the theme it seems like it's going for here. And this one looks really cool. It looks really big too, as you can see. Like the dude is on his horn, not even like the side, nearly even the size of his head. So this dragon seems pretty big. Could be the biggest creature on here, even though sometimes from these concept arts they don't really give off like the best idea. So I wouldn't like go off this thing that's how big it's gonna be, because it could be a different size in game. When it comes to the exclusive items, we have the building template, which is already in the game right now, which you can use to create your own templates or build already made templates. So that's kind of cool. Actually, it's pretty useful just making your own templates. Then there's the tech bunker, which is also already in the game. This thing's super expensive, but allows you to build underground in areas as long as there's open spots underneath. But let's just move on to the items that we don't have in the game already, which starting off is the fabricated crossbow. It's pretty obvious that that's what this is. I mean, it could be a tech one, but it doesn't look like a tech one. It looks like a modern day crossbow, which I've wanted this in the game for so long. It's finally coming with Lost Colony, so I'm very hyped about that. So it'll basically be like the compound bow, or, you know, just like that, but we have a crossbow version instead. It's going to be a better version of the crossbow. I imagine that you'll be able to use metal arrows with. Maybe they'll even make some new, like, metal flame arrows or metal trank arrows, or a new type of arrow entirely that this thing is used for. I imagine there's going to be some special use case for it that they have made for this. I'm pretty sure this got leaked a while ago. It was like a fabricated crossbow for Lost Colony that was in the files, and then of course they showed this picture off, so it kind of confirmed that it is coming. I'm very excited for this. I've wanted this kind of tier of crossbow in the game for a while. You know, be able to use metal arrows, and like I said, maybe even metal trank arrows. I feel like that'd be kind of fun, even though, you know, there's trank darts already in the game, but I feel like that could be fun, you know, if you just want to use something else other than trank darts. Next up is like the tech staff. This could either be like a tech pike, tech spear, tech staff. In that range, we'll have to see what it's called. This was, of course, originally in that teaser trailer for Lost Colony in the animated version, and here's what it looks like in game. We don't really know what it's going to do. I imagine it's going to be a melee weapon that you can stab people with, but it'll probably have some other abilities too. Maybe it can shoot something. Maybe you can throw it and it comes back to you. I don't know. We'll have to see. There's not really too much known about it. You can just see it here, which you know there's going to be some form of tech staff. But the next new set of items is a new armor set. This one looks like something you'd use for like sub-zero temperatures, like an outfit you'd go in like Antarctica. So I imagine this is probably like a new tier of armor that's better than fur, because of course this map is an entirely Arctic map, so you're gonna need something a little bit better than fur on here. And I really like that. We haven't had a new armor set in a DLC since like Aberration, when it comes to just like brand new armor sets, and I really always liked that about Scorched Earth and Aberration, since they had like Scorched Earth with the desert armor and Aberration had hazard suits. It kind of made the maps feel more unique, them having their own armor sets, and they kind of stopped doing that once Extinction came out with the future DLC. So I hope this isn't a skin and it's an actual like armor set. I'm pretty sure it is. It would make sense, because I don't know how you're going to be able to survive in Lost Colony if there's no like new set of fur, because fur just doesn't really do it sometimes, especially if this map's like freezing cold. The only way you're going to be able to survive is if you get like all Ascendant fur armor. So hopefully this one is like a good way to actually keep warm in Lost Colony, and I think it looks pretty cool too. Also with Lost Colony, we have a new armor set skin, which is called the Dark Tech, and as you can see on the left right there, that's what it looks like. It's already in game, so most of you guys probably already know about it, but if you don't, that's what it looks like. I think it's one of the coolest looking armor sets in the game, honestly. It's really sick. And then there's also the sword that goes along with it. Then there's the Drakeling skin on his shoulder there, which is also really cool looking, and I really like that. It'd also be cool if they had like a variant of Drakeling that just spawned in Lost Colony like that, and it wasn't just a skin. That'd be kind of cool and make the map more unique. And of course there is more. What I'm gonna guess are skins. I don't think a lot of these that I'm gonna go over are new items. So obviously there's the armor set we talked about earlier in the video. Like I said, I think all of these armor sets I'm going to show off are all going to be skins. I don't think they're going to be their own armor sets, even though I would like it if they were. I feel like that'd be a lot cooler. But either way, the armor sets look cool, so having skins for them would be nice. But as you can see here, a bow. I'm going to assume this is just a skin for the compound bow and probably the normal bow too. That's Dark Tech themed. Because, I mean, it obviously could be a tech bow skin, but tech bow's not in Ark Ascended yet. That comes with Genesis Part 2. Now, what they could do is they could add the tech bow early and then have this be a skin in there. They had the egg incubator, which is from Genesis 2. They added early. I don't think they're going to do that, though. I think this is going to be for the compound bow. As well as the arrow is not, like, made of element. It's just a normal arrow, so that kind of makes me think that it's just going to be a skin for the compound bow. Either way, I mean, it looks pretty cool. So, that's cool. Next up is 3 set of items. Obviously, here a new set of what I'm guessing is skins. Of course, we talked about that a second ago. So probably an armor set of skins. But then we have a wingsuit, what looks like a bear trap, and what also looks like a tech railgun. My guess here is that that's a skin for obviously a bear trap skin, which is kind of odd, but you know what, it's there. A tech railgun skin, and then a glide suit skin. But also, it doesn't look like he's gliding with this. It looks like he's just straight up flying. So maybe this is like a dark tech wingsuit that you can fly with, maybe hover like the cinema crops. But I'm going to guess it's a skin, because also the gun he's holding looks just like a tech railgun, but dark tech. So that's probably just the skin for that. And then, like I said, that's definitely a bear trap. There's not going to be like a new bear trap variant. At least I don't think there is. So that's probably just going to be a skin for the bear trap too. I do kind of hope the wingsuit is like a new thing, because being able to hover like a cinema crops would be so nice, considering we're not getting the cinema crops for a long time. And that is a pretty powerful ability, though, so I would hope it's, like, you know, a bit later, like, kind of hard to make. Not super hard to make, but, like, you know, more late-game item. And then it could reward you for getting there with a super useful ability to hover. But obviously it could be, like, tech, because then you just have the jetpack and you could use that. Lost Colony will also have a skill tree, and it's already in the game right now. If you've been playing, you probably already know that. And you have to pay to get the skill tree for Lost Colony, and you can do it on any map, not just Lost Colony, which I think is kind of dumb, but, you know, I feel like it should be locked to that map, but whatever. It's here now, and I'm going to show it off anyway, because it is a Lost Colony thing. So basically, you have all your skills there in the center. You need 3 points to unlock a skill fully, and then you'll be able to unlock the one next to it. Then there's these final skills, which give you active abilities that are like ones that you can activate anytime you want. And they're pretty powerful, but you have to do a lot of challenges to unlock them. And of course, every time you get one, it's going to make it harder to get the next one. So maxing out the skill tree takes a very long time. In order to get skills, you have challenges that you can do, and they're all in this area here. There's a row of 3, or I guess a column of 3 down, and in order to get points, you have to complete a whole column. You can't just do one at a time. So you complete a column, and that gives you 3 skill points. So if you do 3 all in that top row, it's not going to give you any skill points, but if you do all 3 in like the left column, then you get 3 skill points for that. And you need 3 skill points to fully unlock one skill entirely, because each one has 3 levels. So it's going to be a lot of missions you have to do. When it comes to the story of this map, I already did mention that this is going to bridge the gap between Extinction and Genesis Part 1. And that's great because we have no idea how those maps connect at all. It's very random there, so I'm glad to see that those are being connected. For the characters, this is going to explain what happens to Mei Yin after Extinction, as well as Rockwell is on here too. I'm assuming this is after you kill him on Aberration, and you can get Explorer Notes on here too that are going to be voiced by David Tennant. So that's going to be cool. We'll have new Explorer Notes. There's also going to be different kinds of Explorer Notes. There's going to be, I don't know if you'd even call them Explorer Notes. There's going to be like cutscenes where you can get like animated cutscenes, ones that are like fully generated. So those are going to be pretty cool, as well as there's going to be like voice lines where they actually talk to you directly, kind of like HNLA talks to you. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but we're going to see it in there. So that's all the story content. There's going to be a lot of story content. They said that this one's going to be their most story-packed map, maybe other than like Genesis Part 2, so interested to see that part of it as well. And of course it takes place in Ararat Prime, which is also the place where the Arks were created, so I'm curious to see if they're going to have anything about that, like maybe talking about more the creation of the Arks and getting to know a little bit more about that. And also maybe some more creation about the Genesis ship as well. We also know that Rockwell is not going to be the boss, they've said. I'm very happy about that, because, I mean, I do like Rockwell, but I don't want to fight him for a 4th time. I want something new when it comes to the bosses, so I'm very curious to see what the boss is going to be on here. And I'm glad to hear that it's not Rockwell, but it's still cool we have Rockwell in here in form of the Explorer Notes and all that stuff. Next, I want to talk about a little bit of what we see in the key art. Something I noticed at the top left was like the destroyed Ark with the purple obelisk there. To me, that just looks like Aberration from when it crashed down. And since it was nighttime in like the original teaser, I guess, for the end of Extinction, it would make sense that it would be on this side of the Earth, I guess. So I wonder if that's going to be a part of the map or not, if there's going to be that ruined Aberration. I don't know if that'd be cool or not. I guess we'd have to see. But that's there. As well as at the top, you can see this guy here, which kind of just looks like a mutated human. I'm going to guess that's what it is, because there's like no signs of aliens in Ark, other than in Ark 2, but that's because you're like a billion light years away from Earth. And on here, it's, you know, just humans. So this is, I'm guessing, just a human who's been like obsessed with red element, and it's probably like been, you know, transformed by it. And that's also what makes me think that the NPCs are going to be these guys in armor. So that would also make sense. And I'm going to guess, since this dude is like front and center on the key art, that he's going to be either like the leader of these people. And it could even be the final boss on here. They said it's not Rockwell, so it could be this guy instead. This could be the boss. Maybe you go in and you have to like fight him, and you don't actually fight him. Maybe he has like an army of stuff that you just have to kill, and you have to fight off his minions. Like, honestly, I could really see that being the boss, like, and him being the boss, because I don't think they're going to do, like I said, I think that's probably what it's going to be if I had to guess. So we'll see if I'm right on that. But that's probably what the boss fight is going to be. Your fight this guy, because like I said, he looks like the leader of whatever NPC army you're going to have to face. So that's my guess. He seems obviously pretty important if it's like the face of the key art here. But that's going to be it for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, I find it helpful, make sure to leave a like and also subscribed. I'm pretty hyped for this new Lost Colony map. I think I'm definitely more excited for it than I was for Genesis Part 1 or 2. That's for sure. This one's pretty cool. I really like the vibe they're going with, and I'm excited to see how it is. There's going to be a ton of Lost Colony videos when it eventually does come out. But let me know what you guys think of this so far. Also, the Lost Colony main theme came out. I literally have it looped on this video, which might be a little bit repetitive, but it's pretty good theme. So, you know, I thought maybe you guys wouldn't mind me looping it in this video. You know, kind of fits the theme of the map and all that. But anyway, thanks for watching, and bye.